on the agenda is public hearing. And the purpose of this public hearing, the purpose of bylaw number 11-19 is to amend land use bylaw number 89-20 by changing land use designation portion of the southeast quarter 142425 west of the 4th meridian, plus or minus 0.24 hectares or 0.65 acres within the town of Strathmore from P1 Public Service District to R2 Residential Mixed Housing District as shown on the attached Schedule A. And are there any confirmation of notices?
Your Worship, the ad was published as per the Municipal Government Act for 2 weeks for the July 15th and I believe it was July 7th editions of the Strathmore Times.
Thank you. Now a report from the Development Officer.
This redesignation is to be consistent with the original outline plan, but the original land use amendment was not in keeping with the plan due to the possibility of the area in question being utilized for other purposes, mainly for utilities, etc. However, it is no longer required, and the original concept of the outline plan can be developed into what is being requested, which is R2 lots. However, R2 lots cannot be done on P1. That's the requirement for this application. There were 3 written submissions regarding this application that our department received. Shaw Communications had no concerns. Our engineering and operations department noted a few concerns that these would be addressed at the subdivision stage, and they did raise some concerns with respect to dust control, and we are trying to deal with that situation at this point in time. Our contract engineering group as well mentioned a few items, mainly with the infrastructure, and these issues will also be addressed at the subdivision stage. We did not receive any requests for delegations for this public hearing. However, there may be some in the audience that might wish to speak on regarding this application, but I'm not sure.
So just to get it in mind where it is exactly, the soccer field is to the north there, or to the west?
To the north.
Thank you. And the land to the west is what? Not designated at all?
The area in question is just this small finger of P1 right here. So this area is already redesignated as R2. This is already redesignated as R2 as well, but the request was to put this as P1 due to the fact that potentially there would be some municipal utility services here, but again, not required. So what they're hoping to do is subdivide this area into R2 lots, which is consistent with their outline plan.
Thank you. Anybody from the audience wish to be heard? Council, do you have any questions?
A little more detail, if I could, Your Worship, on why was this designated as P1? What utilities were planned there, or do we know?
I can help with that, Your Worship.
Yeah.
If that's okay. Originally, that site was going to be used as a school site. After that, the school decided that they no longer needed that site, and we decided to put the soccer pitches there instead. And what ended up happening was that little piece just got missed out, and it would have been a number of years ago, and has never been caught. So it's just, if you look at the concept plan with the soccer pitches, that land was always meant to be the R2.
So we're not really giving anything up, are we? As in less green space or something like that?
No, no, Your Worship.
Okay. Any further questions? If no further questions and nobody from the audience, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn the public hearing.
Your worship, I would move to adjourn the public hearing.
You heard the motion, all in favor? Carried. Second public hearing, just in the Strathmore Council Chamber, July 22, 11. The purpose of this public hearing is, purpose of bylaw number 11-20 is to amend the land use bylaw number 89-20 by changing the land use designation for the south half of section 12, 24, 25, west of the fourth meridian, and a portion of the northwest quarter 1-24-25, west of the fourth meridian, plus or minus 185.0 hectares or 457.37 acres in total within the town of Strathmore from AG General District to M1 Municipal Light Industrial, plus or minus 372.18 acres M1 General Light Industrial District, plus or minus 42.59 acres, and M3 Heavy Industrial District number, plus or minus 38.02 acres, as shown in the attached Schedule A. Any confirmation of notices?
Your worship, the ad was in the July 8th and July 15th editions of the Strathmore Times.
Any report from the development officer?
Your worship, overall the concept is consistent with our statutory plans and adjacent land uses. However, administration had an opportunity to further evaluate the areas in question. It's not that the redesignations from M1 and 2 and M3 have changed. It's actually probably more of the acreages. What is shown presently is more of a friendly amendment. The rationale for this map versus the other, so there's two options for the council to consider, is that M1 uses are basically self-contained, so they're inside and indoors. So what that will do is decrease the environmental issues for the ponds on the west to it. The M2, the reason why that's sort of developed as is because there is that strip just at the top end of which council approved. So all this is doing is providing contiguous area for M2 rather than having it separated. And M3 usually is one of your larger sort of environmental issues with respect to uses. So what you try to do is buffer it, so you start decreasing the intensity, as well as the fact that M3 usually requires a large tract of land, so that's why we propose maybe a larger area for the M3 designation. But again, the other option that was initially proposed was this one right here. Where there was a significant portion of M1 and a smaller area of M3 and M2. So those are the two options that we would like council to consider. The written submissions were again from Shaw Communications. They had no objections. Our engineering operations and our contract engineer pretty much provided the same sort of comments with respect to the main infrastructure. They did have some issues with stormwater management. However, again, a lot of these issues can be addressed at the subdivision stage. There was nobody wishing to speak on this bylaw within the time period. However, there may be some individuals in the audience tonight that may want to speak to this bylaw.
Thank you. Nobody from the audience wishing to be heard? Not council? Any questions? My only comment would be I like the first option better. I think it just makes much more sense all the way around. Any council comments from council?
Your Worship, just to be clear, both of these options, appendix, well, the other one is not an appendix, but I'm going to assume that Schedule B is the one with the larger M3.
That's correct.
Okay. Both of these schedules were presented as options to the public in this process.
The only one actually that was presented and was advertised was Schedule A. However, council does have the discretion to discuss it in the public hearing to determine whether or not they wish to change the acreage areas.
And that doesn't have to be advertised?
It does not have to be.
Okay, thank you.
Any further comments?
And, sorry, Your Worship, you said Schedule A was the one you were in favor?
Yeah, that's the very first
I
one.
like that one.
Very first one.
Yeah.
Makes more sense, all right. Especially on the environmental side.
Yeah.
Blocks it off.
Council Rempel? You've done no more comments, like the motion to close the public hearing?
Your Worship, I move that we close the public hearing for bylaw number 11-20.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. And adoption of the agenda, please.
I have nothing to add to the agenda.
Councilor Rocky,
I have nothing to add to the agenda, Your Worship.
Councilor Hamilton, Councilor Best,
I have nothing.
Councilor Field,
I have nothing, Your Worship.
Councilor Rempel.
Nothing from your worship.
Are we adding,
Yes, Your Worship, can we add in the August meeting schedule for council meetings?
Under 8?
Yes, Your Worship, under 8K.
8 what?
K?
Anything else? Not motion for adoption agenda.
I would move to adopt the agenda as amended.
All in favor? Carried. For your previous minutes for A.
I move the July 6, 2011 Committee of the Whole meeting 11-W13.
You all heard the motion? No questions, all in favor? Carried. 4B. Looking for a motion.
Your Worship, I move that we accept the regular council meeting minutes number 11-C13, C13, sorry.
You all heard the motion? No questions, all in favor?
Your worship, I would move the July 13th, 2011 administration meeting, number 11-A07.
You all heard the motion? No questions, all in favor? Carried. Excuse me. 5A, Arena Advisory Board. Come on forward. Who's speaking to that?
It's just like the coming.
Oh,
We don't even.
We were asked to, if we would come, and I'm the president. My name is Wayne Hanson. I'm the president of Strathmore Minor Hockey, and we were asked to make an appearance. So I guess we are.
The construction of an outdoor ice facility.
Okay.
This was an invitation to minor hockey to come forward and discuss an outdoor arena with perhaps a full building. And we were just wanting information on whether the association would be able to make use of such a facility.
What?
And if,
Whether they would support.
yes, and would support an outdoor ice arena.
I can tell you on behalf of Strathmore Minor Hockey, I mean, we certainly take it back to the board. If that was this council's wish. It brings up a couple of issues with outdoor ice surfaces and insurance, maintenance, the safety of the kids and the coaches, all those involved. So anything that's outdoor, I would probably suggest that Strathmore Minor Hockey wouldn't schedule anything with it. It'd be great for shinny, for whatever else, but to organize and put our teams on it, I just don't see it happening.
Councilor Best?
Your worship, through the chair, we're not talking about like just boards and have at it outside. We're talking about putting it inside of the building without artificial ice.
And attached to the arena.
And attached to the arena.
If it's closed in and has dressing rooms where people
Right.
can get changed.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about. More like we're not talking about just an outside rink like they used to have in Brentwood.
Mhm.
We're talking about a rink that doesn't have artificial ice, however, it does have a building, it does have the change rooms and so on. And that would be attached with the current arena.
Again, that would be something that, I guess once we saw the plans, we could certainly look at it. That may be something that our younger groups would be able to use, our half pints, and that sort of thing, more 5 and 6 year olds, maybe even our 7 and 8 year olds. I don't know that.
Is your hockey, is the board aware of this at all, or was there any discussion whatsoever?
Well, it was brought up right at the last minute of the advisory board meeting. I mean, it wasn't exactly discussed. I think I made myself pretty clear there, and a couple other people did, that an artificial ice surface is drastically needed, and something that is a natural ice surface, even though it's in a building, with the limited use, you can't really schedule it for use, because you don't know what the weather's going to be like, you don't know whether or not you can use it, creates us a problem. Okay, we go to Standard, we go to Summer, we go to Gleashing, and we use their ice because we know it's going to be there. And, you know, our parents, all members of this town, they all pay a fee and expect to be able to get the ice that's there that they're paying for. So I just think that a natural ice surface, I don't know how much use it will get in this area. That would be my biggest concern. And on behalf of minor hockey, I just don't see us scheduling things there. What we do.
Councilor Rendell.
You go ahead and finish whatever. I just I'm going to say that brought to my attention that by putting up another structure, ice surface over there at the family center would create big problems when it comes to parking, especially when there's events happening, when there's games scheduled, the night of the games being scheduled, and then you bring all this extra traffic into for this other arena. Apparently there isn't enough parking spaces there now for people attending these games. So by even directing even more traffic into that area, unless we can provide additional parking somehow.
I think that this was brought up mainly for a couple of people, or more than that, for recreational hockey and maybe just skating. So maybe for recreational hockey, it would alleviate some minor hockey time on the big arenas on the ice. You know.
And again, that's where I see a problem if it's not an artificial ice surface, where there's no guarantee that there's ice there. We have to, as part of our bylaws, we're required to provide a certain amount of ice to our members.
Okay.
And if an ice surface, it doesn't matter whether it's Strathmore or whether it's Gleashing, if they can't guarantee us that ice, we can't take it.
Yeah.
Because it's adopted in our minutes as minor hockey that we will provide so much ice per week.
And do we guarantee so much ice for shinny hockey?
I believe we do. There's a set schedule, and I believe that minor hockey sets the schedule with our manager at the family center each
Correct.
year.
Basically what happens is, okay, there's kind of a pecking order, if you will, in the way that ice is allocated. The first is the first team to pick their ice for their games is the AAA Midget Hockey team. Okay, that's an agreement that's in place. You know, they pick 17 home dates. They're Friday, Saturday, or Sundays. And then they have their Tuesday and their Thursday night practice. Okay? After that, minor hockey, being the major tenant with 404 registrants last year we had playing minor hockey. Then we have our ice slots, which then there's been an agreement along with the AA Association, along with figure skating working with us, Springette, all the user groups, rec hockey, to where we take certain amounts of ice, but we go out of town for probably 50% of our ice. So 50% of our revenue goes to the surrounding area. And that's kind of how ice is broken up.
I hear you, and I think this needs much more further study from number one, but secondly, into a covered, I don't remember the covered word. We don't have any money in our budget, as far as I'm concerned, or to my knowledge, to build a sort of a covered, semi-covered, or any sort of.
I believe it was like a pole building that was.
That's what the original concept
Yeah, but was there money put in our budget for that? I don't think so.
Well, it would have to be something that was discussed fall.
At the fall
Yeah.
shop, yeah.
And that wouldn't happen until next year anyway then, so I think it takes much more further study, and I would ask the administration and yourselves to get together on a sort of a, what's the needs, and go from there. We know that minor hockey needs ice, that's no question, you know.
Yeah, the town desperately needs probably 2 more ice rinks immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on what growth forecast you have, that's going to change very quickly. So, yes, if you're going to do it, you need to do it right. But the biggest thing is, if you're going to do something, get the associations involved. There can be fundraising done. Minor Hockey has made it very clear that we would support any fundraising efforts that were required to raise a portion to help fill in on any grants or anything else to get this done.
Yeah.
But if it's going to be done, it needs to be done properly. It needs to.
Councilor Rimble?
Just a comment through the chair. As far as I'll go out on the limb here maybe a bit, but as far as the town is concerned, I don't think that the town is going to be building another twin ice arena in the foreseeable future. So if you know of anybody in the private sector that's interested in coming in here and doing something, well, I think we're all ears.
I think I'll leave it at that. I think we went through that last year. You remember with or 2 years ago with the previous council, and I think it kind of got shuffled underneath the table. But we'll leave it at that. I think you guys are aware that there's a problem, and the town loses a ton of revenue because of it. So it's something that seriously needs to be looked into. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else
Go ahead. What?
just wondering if there's anyone else from the.
Is there anybody else wants to comment, or?
I'm from Wheatland AA Association, and all the concerns that Wayne had, I'm sure the AA Association concurs with completely. It's probably in everyone's best interest that Wayne's absolutely correct. The safety issues and the insurance issues, without things that are properly constructed and maintained, will be an issue for us as well.
Thank you. Well, I really like administration to work with the minor hockey and let's get something going on. And you know, and to be honest, folks, we'll have to do a lot of fundraising because we don't have any money. It's the bottom line. I'd like to do it. I mean, I was a minor hockey dad myself, and would love to get another tour. Back in the 90s, we needed money, you know. So we know it's there. We know the need is there. Thank you very much. Five B, BJ, am I pronouncing that right? Cusiak. Not here, page 20. Can administration just comment on this?
Yes, Your Worship, we received a request from Cusiak to appear before council to discuss her tax notice. Okay, and the discussion was supposed to take place at tonight's meeting, and we did confirm the time of the meeting yesterday, so I'm not sure. I have not received any notification that she was not going to be appearing tonight.
In case she comes later on, does council want to discuss it, or what do you want to? What's council feeling?
We don't even have a recommended action here, nothing.
No, it's through the delegation.
No, I mean nothing from administration. Just to,
May I ask administration on the MGA is that we can't forgive this if it's valid, right? On the MGA?
Well, that's correct. She would have to appear before council to ask for forgiveness.
How come we don't?
Yes?
I don't believe in the past that council has ever forgiven penalties, but it's up to council.
Councilor Bell?
Your Worship, I've read the letter that Ms. Kiziak sent to us, and quite frankly, it's not in our interest or in our town bylaws that we would be forgiving this, and the fact that she hasn't shown tonight or given us any reason why she hasn't shown tonight, I would be prepared to move that these penalties stand as were put out, and that the $200 is owed.
Any discussion on the motion?
Your Worship, I would like to possibly just delay that and just in case she's being held up for something and she hasn't been able to get here on time, we can make the decision at some point during the meeting.
I'd be in favor of that. Are we willing to hold it back on that, Councilor Best? Can we put it to a later item on the agenda? Last item on the agenda. Thank you. Somebody said Leanne, but she was here with figure skating or no?
Part of the arena advisory board.
Thank you. 6A, bylaw number 11-19, page 22. Go ahead.
Your Worship, if council believes that they had all the relevant information at the public hearing, the recommended action is that council give a second reading to bylaw 11-19, and if they are again comfortable with all of the information, that council give a third and final reading to bylaw 11-19.
Y'all heard the recommendation?
Yeah, Your Worship, I would like to move that council give second reading to bylaw number 11-19.
You all heard the motion. Any discussion? Not? All in favor? Carried.
Your Worship, I move that council give third and final reading to bylaw 11-19.
You all heard the motion. Any more discussion? All in favor? Carried. Six B. 28.
Your Worship, the recommended action is that council give second reading to bylaw 11-20. And again, depending on the preference of the majority of council, is to discuss whether or not they would accept Schedule A or Schedule B. The bylaw will be amended if it is Schedule B. However, it will stay the same if it's Schedule A. And then once council has made that determination, that council gives the final reading to the bylaw, either amended or as it is.
You all heard the recommend? Good.
Your Worship, I make motion to council to second reading to bylaw number 11-20 and accept Schedule A.
You all heard the motion. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor? Carried.
Your Worship, I move that council give third and final reading to bylaw 11-20.
You all heard the motion. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. 7A, 35.
Your Worship, this was an item that had come forward a number of months ago, and administration is asking for direction from council to proceed with the process to change from town status to city status, and which would be the first step in the process would be the public consultation process. We are recommending extensive public consultation. and that pending the results of the consultation and the survey, that we would bring the results back to an open council meeting for a decision on whether we go forward with city status. And with that direction from council, we could start, we would be holding public meetings, providing information in the local papers, perhaps a survey on the website, survey in our utility bills, just to get a feel from the public on which direction they would like to see Strathmore headed in.
Any comments from council?
Just one question through the chair to Linda. During all the consultation, will we be able to provide some sort of a list of pros and cons that they might be able to use in making their decision as far as surveying them?
Absolutely.
I do have a statement, Your Worship. The town of Strathmore's population surpassed the magical 10,000 person threshold in 2006, and the municipality became eligible to attain city status. Over the last 5 years, Strathmore has experienced exceptional growth, with a population increase of 28% from 2001 to 2006. The town was identified as one of the 20 fastest growing communities in Canada. In the 5 years since, the town's population has increased 15% to 12,140 as of the last data. It's expected that the population will continue to grow in the mid to long term. However, the future growth is managed, or how the future growth is managed, may be affected by the new municipal classification. Some information presented by council tonight will highlight the potential advantages and implications that city status would bring for Strathmore, while some may be more disparaging. One of the most important things to consider would be the image of the municipality wants to portray, since city status could bring the municipality from a promotional and marketing standpoint. There are different visions to a town versus a city. A smaller town, a less busy urban community, whereas a city is a major metropolitan center. While the classification of city is indicative of a progressive, growth-orientated community, the distinction of town may distinguish a quieter, more laid-back community in a regional context. I believe the most significant advantage of the status change would be the increased opportunity for advocacy and image promotion. However, our greatest potential liability of taking the city status would be the mandated turnover of the responsibility of the assumption and responsibilities for primary and secondary highways. Provincial Highway 817 and likely Highway 1 within town boundaries, when the bypass is complete, would be turned over to the municipality. Road grants that the town currently receives would be discontinued and replaced by a different program. We would be obliged to change all the town signs to city signs. All communication apparatus would need to be changed, and there would be many man-hours that would be required to change over the bylaws and policies to reflect our new status. There would, however, be no change to our taxes. Many provincial and federal grants are based on the per capita basis, and this would not change. If Strathmore were to take on city status, it would become one of the smaller of the 16 cities in Alberta, from a big fish in a small pond to a small fish in a big lake. It's the town's choice. It's a community decision. It requires a public consultation process, and finally it will require ministerial approval. The change is not mandatory, and a municipality may remain a town indefinitely regardless of their population. There is no set statutory process for status change. However, the process may be initiated either by the request of the municipal council or by a petition from a majority of the electors. I believe council should move forward to consider the initiation of a public consultation. I think we should hear from the public on this issue. I don't believe the advantages and implications of moving to city status have been communicated to the community at large. And although people certainly talk about being a city, I'm wondering if it would accommodate the mayor's intent by just advising the public of the opinion. Public consultation will demonstrate that residents have been informed and the pros and the cons of the proposed status change would go a long way with the minister. I am not aware of much public discussion about the fact that Strathmore could be a city. There certainly has not been a lot of public pressure to look at becoming a city. We have the information before us, and if the community at large wishes to change to a city status, that is certainly a dialogue that we need to have with them.
I couldn't agree more. This is just a process, and let's go with the process. That's all I'm asking. Or at least I'm asking. I don't know if any other.
Absolutely.
I'm not trying to demand anything. It's just that let's put it out there for the public and be clear and precise as to what we're whys and why nots. And go ahead, Councillor.
Just very briefly, Your Worship, I support putting this to rest once and for all. I think it's time that we determine what the views and the wishes of the town are in this regard. And I think it's important, if we're going to go ahead with this, that we have substantial support by the population. I agree with the public consultation process that's being recommended by administration, including the public meetings. The only thing I would like to see as well, and I think it should be part of this process, is I think ultimately a plebiscite is going to be required in this issue. I think it's an issue that I feel is important enough to warrant the cost of a plebiscite, but bearing in mind the major decision that is being made in this regard, I really would support a plebiscite.
Is the plebiscite mandatory?
No, but we could.
In our discussions with the public, I would ask them if they're demanding a plebiscite. That's the way I would put it. I don't think it's up to us to demand it. If the public wants one, let's ask the public. Anybody else? I would agree with that.
Yeah, I think to be fair, the point I'm trying to make is that I believe as a council that we should have a plebiscite. I think that's one of the ways to find out what a true picture of our population is. Certainly surveys and meetings and public meetings are important, but we know as a fact that usually public meetings are not very well attended. Whereas what I'm trying to do is get the best picture of what's out there in our town. And I think the way we're going to do that is by plebiscite. And I would be asking for support from council in regards to conducting a plebiscite at some stage in this process.
What more demands is there, or what more things happen in a plebiscite?
Well, it would be a vote.
And the cost?
I can't answer that right now, but I can get that information to you.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I think let's start with my feeling with this public consultation, and we go to plebiscite. That's fine. I have no. And Councillor Ramsey?
No, I agree with Councillor. So, thank you. You almost think I was a teacher.
Oh!
But anyway, I certainly agree with public consultation, and my personal opinion is that the city status is beneficial to the town as far as getting more advertisement, getting more industry into town. Just looking at the commercial industrial permit breakdown, we've only had 18 this year. So that says a lot to me, and right now a lot of people within the community feel that we're stagnated. We're not growing. We look at Okotoks, Airdrie, our surrounding communities, they're growing leaps and bounds, and we're sitting here, paddling in the pond. And if it's a step in the right direction as far as I'm concerned, I certainly support public consultation, and if it needs to be a plebiscite, I agree with that too.
Councillor Beth?
Your Worship, as I've said here, I think that public consultation is absolutely the way to go. I also, however, agree with Councillor Sobel that I think at the end of the road, a plebiscite would probably be the proper answer. This is something that I have said in the past and believe in now, that we need to put this out to the public, as it is a complete change, as I said, going from a big fish in a small pond to a small fish in a large lake.
Having said that, we can be a city, a little city with a small town attitude, and I believe that that can happen. And I know other communities are the same. Councillor Rucky.
Your Worship, my personal opinion as a councillor here, I disagree with everything that's being said here. Strathmore city status, this wasn't even an election issue. I see no need for plebiscites or anything else, and I will definitely speak against anything to do with anything going towards city status. I see no advantage for Strathmore to turn into a city by name only. I can actually see it costing us money with regards to signage, letterheads, Highway 817, maybe the Trans-Canada and other areas. I believe we should stay status quo for the time being, using that same money for street repairs, downtown revitalization, infrastructure, and other projects. I don't believe in the argument if we are a city, status, industry, and manufacturing will come. Our base population is still about 13,000, and it's not changing too fast. I suggest we wait until we grow by another 5,000 people and then have a good look at it.
And we'll be a city in about 55 years.
Look around us, Chestermere, Okotoks, High River, even north up to Sherwood Park. These same places are not cities. As far as I'm concerned, the old saying says, if it isn't broke, don't fix it. People move here to get away from the city. Let's keep it the town of Strathmore. To me, that still has a nice ring to it.
Thank you. Any further comments?
Yeah, Your Worship, I was just going to say it's not really necessary for us to voice strong opinions one way or the other, because we still need to go to the public, which is what the administration is recommending anyway. When we do go to the public, I really think it's important that the pros and cons be really spelled out, because already here in the administration's report it's saying that highway number 1 will most likely stay under the jurisdiction of Alberta Transportation, as they will want to protect the integrity of the highway by ensuring that it continues to function as a highway. So already we're starting to say, well, Highway 1 may suddenly become our jurisdiction. I think we need to make sure that we have all the facts clear, and then it goes to the public, and then the public will have their decision. But I don't think we need to, as a council, be in strongly in favor or against right now, because it's the public's opinion that really counts.
In the interest of saving money, I would like the first recommendation, no disrespect to any of my fellow councillors, but let's ask the public, as we're putting out the clear information to them, whether or not they want to plebiscite, and the public will tell us. And the sad part of it all is that only the negatives come, and usually with telling us what they don't want. We never get all the positives, and that's somewhat disconcerting to me. If we're going to keep talking about the negatives or the I don't want, then we're going to get the public that comes here. I don't want this and I don't want that. But let's work with the positive side of it. There's a lot of pluses, and I have no problem putting it forward to the public. Go ahead, Councilor Rebel.
But depending on how this vote is voted on, or this recommendation is voted on here tonight, I think we need to be careful on what we say here or after, because if this vote turns out to be a majority vote in favor of this, to proceed with it, the councils that object to it need to support this motion if it's passed. So for people that want to either state their public opinions, whether it's through the media or through word on the street or whatever, it's important to realize that if this motion passes, that all of council support this motion.
At this point, I would ask that we go with the recommendation, and if we need a plebiscite, then we'll get one. I'm not opposed to it, but only if we need one, okay?
Yeah.
I just want to clarify what Councilor Reppel said. You're not suggesting that we not disclose our personal opinion as to whether or not we as a councillor support or do not support becoming a city. What you're saying, I hope, is that we all would support the fact that this should go to the public.
Well,
if we pass this motion.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilor Smith.
Your worship, I would move that we direct, by direction, administration to begin the process of change for town status to city status, and pending the results of the public consultation surveys, bring the results back to the open council meeting in a future court decision.
And this can take some time, right, Councilor?
Yes.
Let's take our time on it.
Absolutely.
No, let's not rush into it. Thank you. Y'all, any further discussion? Y'all in the motion?
Your worship, didn't we have one of these things going around a couple of years ago where actually the count was about 80 or 100 or 200? Have you remember that, Councilor Rempel?
Well, there was,
I don't call that a majority out of 12,000 people, or 13,000, whatever we got.
no, that was on the local census, and I don't know how many people voted in favor or against. All I remember was that there was, I believe it was 57% of the people that answered that question were in favor of starting the process of changing from town to city status.
Your worship, if I could add something, I think with that last survey that came out a couple of years ago, there was there wasn't a lot of information given to each household as far as what would be the benefits of being a city, what would be the negatives. A lot of people weren't sure how to answer. Some people might have answered just off the spur of the moment. So I think consulting the public is the way to go right now, as we've stated.
And we'll take as long as we have to. Councilor Smith.
And your worship, this motion is certainly not to say that tonight we're voting on whether we're a city or not. What this motion is just to start looking at the process of whether we should or should not be.
Any further discussion? If not, you all heard the motion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. New business. We have a astute member in the crowd. Any day, page 37. Sergeant Marzinski, please. Sergeant. Sorry. I missed some of it. Am I very good?
Evening, Council. Tonight I'm here for the first quarter report on our annual performance plan, which you hopefully all have a copy and have a chance to review prior to any discussion on it. Prior to going into that, I did want to clarify from our last meeting on June 1st with my yearly submission for last year's 2010-11 annual performance plan, that a discussion was with reference to our enforcement and education on traffic within the town, and we had one area of concern of a number of non-fatal injury motor vehicle collisions went up by approximately 50% that year over the year prior. We did have one of our senior constables do an analysis of the accidents, the injury accidents, which totaled, the actual total ended up coming to 19, up from 13, which 19 is not a great number with the increase of traffic flow the town's experienced in the last couple of years, with increase in population and just more movement out there. But the analysis that the Constable Euler made in reviewing all the accidents is there was no real common ground to any of them, but the only thing that was in common was that all of them had driver error involved, and various types of driver error, whether it be inattention, being careless in a maneuver on the roadway, and even the locations were totally different, the weather conditions were all totally different. So there's no commonalities there for us to target any enforcement or education on, except for continuing to ask the public to be more attentive while they're driving, and maybe the distracted driving legislation that's now in effect and is going to be coming in for enforcement in the fall will assist us in that, getting some of the cell phones out of the hands of people that should have their hands on steering wheels during their time on the roadways.
The question that has been asked to me many times, and whether it's relevant or not, has there been any more accidents or is there stats on the McDonald's corner and Trans-Canada Highway there?
No, again, there's nothing to indicate that there's been any more increase of accidents at that location. When we looked at it, it's basically consistent with past stats. So there is nothing to indicate that corner or the intersection by the Sobeys has become a concern. I know that possibly there is an increase in enforcement in that area just because of the transition from the highway speeds to the town speeds farther out from the normal McDonald's corner out to the Sobey corner. People seem to still have a reluctancy to slow down until they get through that traffic light when they should be slowing down considerable distance before the traffic light. So with reference to the first quarter review, technically on our annual performance plan, as I stated last meeting, we were going to take out our drug reviews, but because it's council's recommendation to be reporting on it still, even though things in our drug enforcement and awareness programs are going very well, we're going to keep that in the reporting process to council, so you'll be updated quarterly on all of those statistics too in the reports. The first one was service to public. This past first quarter we had one public complaint come in, which is again on par with what's been in the past, and we'll keep an eye on that. We have at present one being investigated and one or two outstanding ones that have been investigated and waiting for completion of review on them. The one area of constant concern, which happens in all communities throughout Alberta, is visibility. We had, I would say, local issues last year because we were down at 1.6 members for vacancies or various reasons from maternity to paternity to long-term illness. We are now up to establishment. We're fully staffed. We do still have one member that is on long-term medical, but we have a member that was transferred in on a secondment to fill that spot. So we actually have, I'll say, a surplus to our establishment right now to give us adequate numbers. And we've had 3 new members transferred in the last 2 months. And they're just getting their feet on the ground. They've settled in, and hopefully now that we're fully up to strength, the visibility issue will kind of be taken off the table a little bit with more boots on the street. With reference to our second objective in traffic enforcement, because of the increase we had in enforcement over the past few years, our objective was just to remain constant with it and maintain the levels of enforcement. And in the first quarter, we actually increased by 69% in the first quarter. We brought in a monitoring system within the detachment to attempt to get the constables on the street as much as possible, not necessarily simply for enforcement, but when we're monitoring their enforcement levels, it puts the pressure on to be on the street and increase the visibility, etc. We have to do that also in reviewing how their investigations are going, and of course serious investigations will obviously take top priority with it, whether it's in town or outside of town as far as the detachment is concerned. First quarter, no fatal motor vehicle accidents. The non-fatal injury accidents have dropped by 75%. Again, just from the first quarter of the year before 5 down to 2 in this first quarter. Again, that's too early to tell if there's any trend. We'll see at the end of the year. The number of reportable accidents or property damage accidents decreased by 21%, and our overall total number of accidents decreased by 15%, which is all good information or good facts to be looking at. Mischief, we've again arbitrarily picked a 5% reduction to try to aim for. We're hoping to do that through increased bike patrols in the summertime. Now that we have more members, our bike trained members, which we have, I believe right now 5 of them, can be scheduled for more time in the alleyways. And they're according to the last council meeting. We've had recent success with bike patrols picking up impaired drivers, drug possessions, and even one trafficking charge. Hopefully those patrols and also targeted enforcement in the way of hitting areas for patrols with reference to spray painting, vandalism, that type of thing will help us try to curb the increase that we've seen in the past.
Is there any more on the skateboard park?
That one is still, again, there's been one youth that was charged, right, and there's still a number of people that are under investigation. No further charges have been laid, but again, I believe the council will be advised through administration or myself if further charges are going to be laid with reference to that episode at the skateboard park and spin-offs from that.
Thank you.
So in this first quarter, we actually had actual incidents increased by 15%. They went up to 76 from 66 the prior year. A lot of that is having to do with a rise in the spray painting vandalism, that activity that we saw in the past few months, which has tapered off now, but we still have some incidents coming to light. And the fourth objective, theft, again, we're looking at trying to see a decrease over the year of 5%. First quarter, it was increased by 18%, up to 73 from 62. And again, the main thing with that is trying to see if we can come up with some kind of initiatives or projects that can target certain areas and see if we can do that, because if we can identify 1 or 2 people responsible, that usually will cut the numbers for a short period of time in half, because they're usually done in batches where 1 or 2 people are involved in most of those incidents. Yes, Councilor.
Oh, sorry, through the chair to Staff Sergeant. I'm not going to try your last name. Marzinzik, okay. Thanks. With the increase of 15% in mischief and vandalism and theft of 18%, is there certain areas of the town that are experiencing the highest levels?
Well, again, I would say that because of the spray painting vandalism that we had, that area within the family center, civic center area would be one of our primary concerns. Although there have been other infrastructure, bridges, that type of thing, signage that's been hit with that type of vandalism. The thefts themselves, it's almost like a floating target. I've seen that in other communities too, that we sometimes have, whether it's locals or someone from out of town coming in and targeting one certain neighborhood one night, and we'll end up having a report of 8 or 9 thefts from motor vehicles, because they're going around checking unlocked from cars and stealing whatever they can out of the cars. Well, usually those fellows who will come back if they've been successful do not go back to the same area, because again, they're smart enough to know that if we have enough incidents in one area, our attention starts to naturally flow that way, so then they'll try to target another area.
The drug issue, and maybe you don't have the stats here, and that's fair, but is it more during the day or night, or have you got stats on that, or is there for the more drug problems or during the evenings or nights, or is there any stats on that?
On drug issues?
Yeah.
Well, I would say there's no usage. That's
you don't know, yeah, but I mean,
for us, Our targeting right now in the past year or two has been more towards the trafficking end. We're not concentrating as much on the possession end, the users. We want to hit the businessmen that are out there making money off of people that have bad habits. And that's what we've been trying to target. The numbers in objective number 5 show we've had an increase in drug-related incidents of 75% in the numbers. And that's because they're mostly now, we're generating more information intel or intelligence type files to add to projects that are ongoing, presently ongoing. In that first quarter, we had 2 search warrants by our crime reduction team executed and the charges related to. Presently, we have a production order where we're doing some checks on cell phone usage, and this is in relation to business side of the drugs, not the usage side of the drugs. And we have one other project that I'm not even privy to all the information on ongoing right now.
Okay.
So to say, is there any time? Yes, in the evenings, alcohol and drug usage probably at certain spots is going up because that's recreational time as opposed to most.
But I'm just thinking, reason why, is there more lighting we can do or something we can do to?
I would say the lighting comes more into play for the vandalism and thefts associated to parking areas around the public buildings, such as the arenas, because we've had times where we've had vehicles hit in batches at the arena. That type of thing, lighting's our friend. That's why most of the, how would I say it? Most of that type of crime is committed at night because darkness is their friend, lights are. We always want to shed light on it because we can actually see what's going on. So, would I have any recommendations from public areas? That's something that could be reviewed by, Public Works and Administration and Rec if they have issues. That lighting is always a positive, and there's other environmental factors that can be looked at too when designing new areas. Say if you do go into an outdoor arena or you're going into any other type of areas. I do know the skateboard park at night is very dark. But again, it would cost a lot of money to put light up. And I know even in Langdon, they were talking about building an additional little park area near the school, and they wanted to light it up by putting some light standards on the school. The school didn't want to on the property, so that there's always the logistics involved in it too. With reference to drug activity and alcohol, again, we have our own local businesses that are businesses, legitimate businesses, where the owners are trying to make a living, but there's also other things going on associated with that type of business that we are also keeping a close eye on.
Councilor Best.
Through the chair, Your Worship, when I look at Objective 5, I'm looking at a 74% increase in the number of drug reports there are, 72% on the actuals, and yet we're still at the same number of charges. That doesn't correlate to me.
Well, that's because those ones are mostly increases in files relating to information coming in and intelligence being built up towards higher end drug charges. Most of those increases are not an increase. The natural increase in them would be us going out and finding Joey in the back alley, toking up, taking a small bag out of his pocket and charging him with possession. That's easy. To get Jimmy, who sells 100 of those bags a week in the schoolyard, that takes a lot more time, and it may take 10 to 20 files of information coming into it, put together to get the search warrant to go in and do that. So that's why those increases indicate to me that we're getting more intelligence-led files in, rather than just the occasional drive-by, pick-up, possession type file. We're still getting the charges. We're still constant on the charges. It's not that the charges have dropped, it's just that our intelligence files are increasing, coming in.
Councilor Joe.
Just a question through the chair. With the drug actual number of 31 to this point, or 2011-12, and the number of 18 in 2010-2011. What my question is, how do we stack up to other communities? Because I keep getting told by people that Strathmore is full of drugs and we are leading the whole area in drug use. And what I want to know is, how do we stack up as far as the amount of drug use and I guess actual and charges and reported? How do we stack up compared to other towns in the area?
Again, off the top of my head, I would say we're middle of the pack. Every community I know of in the area, the Calgary area, has a concern with drugs. Almost everyone will have drugs or something related to it on their annual performance plan. We're at this point in time, in the past 2 or 3 years since we've had our crime reduction member come on board, and I think he's now just over a year in his position, the actual build-up of information on what's happening in Strathmore has increased phenomenally. And we've gotten much better actual drug trafficking charges and cases and search warrants. 3 years ago, I would venture a guess to say we maybe had 1 or 2 drug warrants in this month. Last year we had 8. And if we can keep that with the amount of resources we have, we're doing very well for ourselves to try to keep the businessmen at bay, and that reduces the amount of supply coming into town. And it adversely affects the users, but to be honest with you, for anyone that's dealt with any type of drug abuser in any way, shape, or form, charging them in court and giving them a fine or even time in jail doesn't usually do much for them. They need rehab and that. And sometimes us taking away their supply helps them. Sometimes it's to the detriment, because then they have to go elsewhere to find it, and they even sometimes get more desperate. So it's kind of a catch-22.
Of all things, though, and I do get a lot of complaints about the drug issue, and that is my biggest concern. I do get quite a few phone calls on that, and I'm not a policeman, so I'm sure you're doing your best, but it is a major concern of mine.
And it's, again, to be honest with you, I wish we had the success in the mischief and theft areas that we do with our drug enforcement in this town. That's how much I see improvement in the 3.5 years that I've been here. The guys that have been working on this end of things, they have done it full force. And so all I can say to you is you're getting full value for your dollar out of those resources. And yeah, I'd like to see some of that programming or project development pushed towards the other concerns in town. Because again, the drug, even though it's the dirty image topic, it affects probably a minority of people or citizens in your town, whereas the mischiefs, the thefts, they probably affect the majority of the citizens in your town. So again, it's how you look at it. Everybody has a different perspective. What I can do for the next time I come is I'll try to get some basic statistics together for communities similar to ours around the Calgary urban area, just to give you an idea of where we're standing and just kind of a capsule view of what it is, so you can get an indication. And, it'll just take a little bit of getting figures from out of the system for their background too. And again, there's going to be differences, because a place like Airdrie has a much bigger population base, but they also have 2 crew members, 3 GIS. They have a bigger resource base to develop their intel on too. So I'd be more interested in seeing how we fare against Okotoks, Higher River, and those types of things.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yep.
Okay. And that's about all I have in my report. If there's any other questions?
Any further questions?
Concerns?
Yeah, just we don't know the facts, and these people phone us and say, look, why aren't you doing it? Well, I'm sure you are doing it. I'm not knocking you, don't get me wrong. No, thank you very much for your report. It's been very good, and considering that you were short-handed last year, I think things went pretty well. Thank you.
Your Worship, I move that the town of Strathmore, that council accept its first quarter report of 2011-2012 annual performance plan report for information.
You all heard the motion. If there's no further discussion, all in favor? Carried. B, regional transit study. Go ahead.
Your Worship, we submitted a request for proposals to 4 companies to look at the feasibility of expanding our intermunicipal transit service. Only one responded, and basically what we had to do was look at whether or not we should accept it or if they met all the requirements under the request for proposals. And the recommended action is that Council accept the proposal from Stantec for a total of $20,864, including GST, to conduct a regional transit feasibility study that may include linkages to other communities and allow the Chief Administrative Officer or his designate to sign a contract on behalf of the town.
You all heard the recommendation. Any discussion?
Your Worship, I think we're putting the cart before the horse here. I think we're well ahead by doing this study than where we are or will be in the near future. And in that case, I don't know that I can go with this.
Councilor Sobel.
Your Worship, I've been on the Calgary Regional Partnership Transportation Committee for, I think I'm going on my, just about into my 4th year. It's a long process, and communities in the area are realizing that having knowledge about transportation and planning for transportation in the future encompasses a whole bunch of different areas, one of which my main concern is in regards to our planning division that Tammy is in charge of. This goes hand in hand. Planning and future transportation is hand in hand. If we don't know what our future needs are or when our needs are going to kick in, it's very difficult for us to have a formalized plan in regards to how we build and where we build and what kind of facilities we build. It's all connected. This is planning is an integral part of the transportation issue. The information we're going to get from a feasibility study is going to affect many of our departments, and it's going to be information that we're going to use and that we can plan with. To suddenly realize that oh my goodness, we need transportation. And by the way, having said that, there's substantial comments from our population that feel our transportation system into other communities at this point is lacking. And we're in need of improvement. Not right now, but yesterday and the day before. It's just. I think the council's going to be surprised at the amount of transportation that's being used and is needed. And these are the guys that's going to tell us this. I don't think that it's proper to be reactionary. We have to be a little. We have to think about the future a little bit here. And this is how you start with a feasibility study. This is where all the information is going to come from.
Further comments? Councilor Rimble.
A lot of this are for our future planning as far as the transportation study is concerned. We've done in our long-term studies and long-range planning studies. I don't recall whether we had budgeted for this item.
I believe we did. Yes. I think we had $25,000 in the budget, but I don't know what it was, if that money had been spent already or if this is part of that.
This is part of that.
And I'm questioning, same as Councillor Best, whether this isn't a bit premature.
Councilor Gill?
I think if we're going to be even considering city status versus town, that's one of the things we're looking at. We're also looking at subdivision growth and the hopefully attracting more people. I think we do need to look ahead and plan for transportation. It's going to give us a better idea of where we stand, where we need to have transportation, where we're lacking, where we're strong. But all those things are really important as far as developing and planning the whole area, the whole town of Strathmore, regardless of what we become. We have to look at transportation, have things in place. I've already had people stop me and say, we need to have a little shuttle system around the main travel areas in town, like, to get to their work site, to get to their shopping sites. So I think it would help us in planning for sure.
Councilor Rocky?
Your Worship, I would like to ask Linda a question there regarding United Way, that study we were going to do for that. Is there no way we can combine both of these?
No, Your Worship, that would be a,
Is that all together?
yes, that's a
needs assessment, yeah.
Councilor Allen?
Just maybe a final comment. I think if we're going to step into the future, we need studies like this to show us the right direction to take. We can't suddenly become a city if that's the wish of the people, and then all of a sudden realize, oh, we don't have a transit system or a transportation. We may as well do it now than later, because you can pay me now or pay me later. That's my comment.
Councilor Best?
Your Worship, my final comment is that, and it goes with what Councillor Hamilton just said, is yes, we can have this study done now for our future. However, if it's not going to be used until significantly in the future, then we're going to have to do it again and again and again. And I don't know where the $20,000 is going to keep coming from, but the more that we move forward with spending $20,000 on this and $20,000 on that, the less money that we're going to have for the things that our town is in need of right now.
I do believe that it's certainly necessary. With the population growth of only 18 homes so far in the first half of this year, I think we could probably, I would request that we delay it. I think it's imperative we have it, but I request that we can delay it one more year just to see what's really happening with the economy. Things aren't as rosy out there as everybody's thinking. And I agree with Councilor Best that, I know how many studies I've done already. We've done this now, and it's all of a sudden a new one, and a new one, and a new one. We're wasting money. We're too premature. I'm just saying. There's no doubt we need it, but I'm requesting one more year. Councilor.
I just don't want everybody to forget that this isn't only about transportation. This deals with a lot of issues that deal with planning and how we go about planning for our future. I would also bring to your attention two other things. One is that this money is budgeted for, was discussed, and was approved at budget meetings. And second of all, there's a reason why only one of 4 agencies went for this study, and it's a very expensive study. And I would suggest to you that we are getting a good deal at the price for this type of study. And with that, I would move that we accept the proposal from Stantec for a total of $20,864, including GST, to conduct a regional transit feasibility study that may include linkages to other communities, and allow the Chief Administration Officer for Florida's designate to sign the contract on behalf of the town.
I just have one more comment. This Stantec, is it Stantec? Yeah. Have you done many of these before?
Yes, they have. And they have done similar communities, as well as they have a clear linkage to the Calgary Regional Partnership. So they have a lot of the data and some of the information already.
Why couldn't we get more? Why can't we get more? There's not enough comparables here, as far as I'm concerned.
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Well, more people to bid.
Because it's a feasibility study, I don't think it's probably as intense as some of the contractors would want. One of the contractors already did say to the committee, to our technical committee, that they did review our proposal. They looked at the value and said, we're not interested. But again, we're looking at a feasibility study, and it is actually quite helpful for work that we'll be doing for the municipal development plan, because a lot of this does actually impact design, urban design of communities, because you want connectivity. You don't want to go into dead-end roads and things like that. So it does have some clear linkages to future planning and forethought for new communities in town.
Councilor Allen? I'm just through the chair at a time. So how long does the study take? We've got a timeline of the end of the year. However, they're willing to complete it by mid-November. So they're going to come in on budget and actually earlier than we anticipated.
And what's commented about city status? Would it help us deciding whether or not we should go to city status?
I really don't think that this is part of that. I think what it is it's just good planning. Whether or not you're going to provide the proper infrastructure, be it sites for future areas where you're going to store the vehicles, connectivity of the sites, whether or not you need an area downtown to be a hub. Because there have been some actual really good studies, feasibility studies and linkages of regional transit and pure exposure. A lot of it is exposure.
Councilor Rumble.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but this study has to do with transportation as far as just in the community, or to Calgary, as far as establishing some kind of a transportation system between Strathmore and Calgary. What is this study supposed to encompass?
The main focus is intermunicipal, because we are looking at the region, so it is the Calgary Regional Partnership. We already know that we probably don't have a population to sustain a internal transit system, so we're focusing mainly on intermunicipal. So that's why we've asked Stantec as well to see whether or not there could be cooperation with other municipalities, be it Langdon or Chestermere, and they're more than willing to do that, just to see if we can share the cost. Because actually, I'll give you an example of one of the probably success stories is Airdrie. Granted, they have a different population, but the area in Balzac has actually requested that Airdrie, with their intermunicipal transit system, to stop into Balzac, because there's a lot of people who live in Airdrie that are employed in Balzac. So it's just actually mushroomed, and they've done a very good job. It's amazing. The statistics are amazing with respect to the success story that Airdrie did.
I was told that bus system isn't working that well.
Well, the ridership numbers are quite high, and there seems to be, they're full. And actually, they requested a waiver to Alberta Transportation to see whether or not they could get people to stand on the bus. Personally, I don't think I'd do it myself because of the speed and whatnot and some of the bumps. But they actually have, I believe it's 60 seats, but they were hoping to get another 40 to stand up, because it is literally full.
So a key factor to me would be is that if Chestermere and Langdon join in this study, it'd be worth it for us, and we can work together as a group, as community groups. Otherwise, if we're working alone on it.
Well, Chestermere's got their own feasibility study going on. It's not completed yet, but they're in the last stages of their feasibility study.
So they wouldn't know. It wouldn't be tying together, is what I'm asking.
Well, we want to connect. Of course, we want to connect with Chestermere. There's common ground that we're looking at with Chestermere and with Calgary, and of course with Calgary, certainly with Calgary and Langdon and other communities. Sorry, Ben. But we have to focus on what's Strathmore. I guess one other issue that I want to make. Since the beginning of this council, the magic word has always been growth. I don't understand how anyone can be talking about growth if you're not including transportation as part of your growth plan. It's like wandering in the dark without a plan. You have to plan for growth. We can't unless we have some plan in the future as to how we're going to transport everyone, we're not going to grow effectively.
I don't disrespect that one bit. I'm just asking your council if we're not too premature on this, and I certainly agree with that. But we got a plan for growth.
Well,
can we delay for 6 months, a year?
You talk to all the people that are wanting to expand our transportation system as it stands right now, and we're at a point of big growth. I certainly don't think I think we're a year or two late on this thing already. If we're talking growth, if we're talking as a growing nation, we want to know where we're heading.
So the private buses, they're private, the ones that are going to Calgary right now?
Yeah. Yes.
Are they full?
Yes.
No? Or is that no?
Oh, yeah.
They're full?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that they can't put another bus on.
Yeah.
And part of this plan is to work with the private sector. This is not something that we're trying to get away. It's just a gathering of facts and presenting a plan that's going to tell us a whole bunch of information in regards to growth and where we're heading in a lot of ways.
Councilor Sobel, I see some, I don't know, and not arguing point, but if we could just delay it at least a bit. I mean, how long is this code good for?
I would speculate probably not very long. That's just my feeling. I don't know. But I mean, if we've only gotten one interested party, that might be a little bit difficult.
Any further?
No, I agree with you. I think it's premature. We have our road systems. The planning's been done. We have an engineering firm that's laid out and together with us. We've got our internal road systems figured out, and the highway's not going to expand just because we're going to put 2 buses on there every day to Calgary and back. So whether they get on Highway 1 by McDonald's or by the Husky, that's not going to make that big of a difference to people either. So I'm just wondering why we have to spend $20,000 on a study that's going to be outdated in a year or so anyway.
Well, anyway, I don't agree that it's going to be updated in a year, so let's be clear on that. There's no reason
another study that's going to sit on the shelf and collect dust.
This is information that will be used by our planning department.
I think we discussed it. I agree with all discussed. We got all got our points across in respect of all, and the motion's on the floor. And you want to reread the motion or?
No.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion not carried. Names of our advisory committee, community name 8C. Page 62.
I move that council approve the community name Edgefield to the lab just east of the Walmart area. I should ask administration to give us a little background on the location now.
Yes.
The name is for the a portion of 13, 24, 25. It encompasses a fairly large area because it's approximately 326 acres. So it is immediately east to the ranch area and is also the border at the boundary as well. And council must approve all the community names, thus The request was submitted by Brown and Associates on behalf of United Communities and Polyco, because they are the owners of the land.
Any further discussion or questions? Can someone make a motion? John did? I'm sorry.
Your worship, I just have one question. Do we need to specify the exact location? Oh, you just did? Okay, sorry.
All in favor? Opposed? None carried. Thank you, Tammy. 8D, graduation local government certificate program, page 66.
Your Worship, this is just to recognize one of our employees, Hetty Soaring. She has graduated from the local government certification program through the University of Alberta. The courses required to complete this program are based on the requirements for third-year students at the university. And this is a tremendous accomplishment, and congratulations are in order.
Congratulations. Well done. Not here, yeah. How come?
Your Worship, with congratulations, I would move that Council accept the congratulatory letter for Hetty Storenko from the University of Alberta as information.
You all heard the motion, in favor? Carried. Jesse, Ridge Road tender, page 68.
Evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse.
Good evening. Sorry, I was a little late. Ridge Road, as we're all aware, remains to be in a state of disrepair, and we've tendered a contract to basically repair Ridge Road from just east of Lakeside Boulevard, east of 817 to Lakeside Boulevard, through the entire stretch of Ridge Road. Between those two highways, with the exception of the area just north of the co-op fuel station.
Could you clarify one thing that, and a lot of people think that the second road coming off of 817, or the first road north of the Husky, does not belong to the town of Strathmore.
That is correct.
Just so the public is aware of that.
Yes.
And it won't be repaired by us.
That is correct.
So it'll start where?
Our repair will start basically at that intersection of that private road and Ridge Road. But it will only be in Ridge Road. And in fact, in the proposal or in the scope of work, we will be curbing that access to Ridge Road. Where it is private property, there are 3 accesses into that private property within a stretch of 100 meters. So we're recommending that the access there be curbed, just where 3 accesses really isn't required for the 3.
So the trucks won't be able to go there?
Well, they'll come in off of, they'll have the 2 accesses south of what used to be the service road. So there are 2 accesses into the Husky station south of where that access into the ridge or the former service road is. So there's 3 accesses within 100 meters.
Okay.
We're recommending closure of one of those accesses.
So, excuse me, I just want to make it clear. So where we're starting basically is beside the station.
Correct, to the west of the station restaurant.
Thank you.
Is the Husky aware we're closing that one?
I don't believe so at this point, no.
Okay. Are we going to
Yeah, oh, definitely, yes.
Yeah, okay.
We have a letter drafted to the businesses in the area,
Okay.
and we'll be circulating that in the next day or 2. Okay, so we tendered the project and the scope of work here on a couple of websites, CoolNet Alberta, which is purchasing for contractors, as well as the Alberta Purchasing Connection. Based on the cost of the work, we're required by the New West Trade Partnership Agreement to tender this work as part of our commitment to that initiative. And we received 5 bids from contractors on this work. Prices ranging from $1,421,449 to $2,081,935. So a bit of a, I guess, a gap between the the 5 bids. All bidders are known to the town and its consultants and its engineering consultants, and have performed similar work previously. So there is no concerns with experience relative to previous experience. The tenders were reviewed, found to be complete. There was a single mathematical error within one of the tenders that has been corrected. North Star Contracting were the lowest bidder of the project at the $1,421,049. They've performed similar work in the past, particularly on the underground element. North Star are very experienced on underground. They have an excellent underground section of their business. We reviewed the North Star tender and noted that some of their excavation and demolition costs were a little lower than the other bids. So that's where the difference came, basically, between what would be the average of the other bids and their bids. So there's about, from our pre-tender estimate, we estimated the initial or the cost of the project in at about 1.791 million. So they're about $300,000 under what our initial pre-tender estimate was. We feel that through what they've put into their tender for the demolition work and the excavation work, that is a large percentage of where that difference exists. So we will have on-site inspection during the construction of the project. We'll also have regular site meetings to review any issues. So we're comfortable with respect to the risk associated with the difference between the pre-tender estimate and what we've seen in the tender for the low bid.
Councilor Best.
Your Worship, through the chair to the Director of Engineering, I just wanted to make sure that this involves doing the infrastructure work underneath as well as it's not just for the road.
That is correct. Yes.
Thank you.
It's construction of sanitary line, replacement of the sanitary line, as well as currently there's a water line that stubs on 2nd Street, where it kind of meets the Ridge Road area there. And then there's a second water line over on 3rd Street. In this project, we'll be connecting those water lines to create a better loop through the downtown area as well, and provide a little better safety in terms of service for the businesses and residences in that area through the capability of looping.
Thank you.
And since there's no grant money available, I'm quite sure, right?
No, this is actually using grant money.
Oh, this is using grant money?
Yes, it is. Yeah,
where did you find that? So, the bottle grant, really? So it's all grant money then?
It is funded through our street improvements grant money, as well as, I believe, our municipal sustainability initiative, MSI.
And that's 1 year out, or?
Well, not, I have to confirm, but in our budget, we have it fully funded by grant money.
Okay, thank you.
I was just wondering, Ridge Road, the state is in whatnot, if they got a built-in a contingency plan in case they run into something unforeseen, or?
There is a 15% contingency in the project, so yes, there's a contingency.
That's part of that number?
It is not. It's part of the budget number. So the capital budget, we had requested a capital budget of $2.25 million. And with the pre-tender estimate at 1.791, we had another 15% on top of that, and then the engineering fees on top of that. So that makes that 2.25 million for the total project. This is just the construction tender award. So the construction is one component, and there's a contingency for the project and engineering, which makes up the 2.25 for the project.
Any further questions? So what your recommendation is?
Recommendation is to award to North Star Contracting. There's a recommendation on page 2.
Your Worship, I would move that council award the 2011 street improvement project Ridge Road improvement contract to North Star Contracting, Inc. in the amount not to exceed $1,421,049, and that the mayor and CAO be authorized to sign the contract on behalf of the town.
And just one question, this North Star, you're very confident that you've got a lot of history with them?
Personally, no, but they have performed this work and similar work previously, and because we are using grant funding for this project, barring any current legal type of case or anything along those lines between the town and North Star, in using the street improvement project funding, we are obligated to award to the lowest bidder.
Okay, thank you. Y'all heard the motion, all in favor? Carried. That should be, I asked the press that they note that we are obligated to go to the lowest bidder on this one.
Yeah, and one further question for Jesse. When will construction commence?
Construction, we've asked the contractor to mobilize August the 2nd. So immediately after Heritage Days, we'll begin surveying, and then demolition will begin basically right away. Good stuff.
And you're going to take all the phone calls from all the businesses. These guys can't go for coffee. I mean, that's going to be important. Thank you. 8G Bayside Place Sidewalk, page 70. Did I miss one?
69.
Air conditioning.
Air conditioning, how did I miss that? Sorry. Page 69, air conditioning. 8F, Aquatic Center.
With the Aquatic Center expansion project, one of the deficiencies that we've noted in the design of the expansion and the multi-purpose rooms is that there has not been an allowance for air conditioning within those two multi-purpose rooms in the upstairs area that we've built. This was unfortunately a bit of an oversight in terms of the design work that was done previously prior to construction. So basically this is a project to put that air conditioning into the aquatic center, into the multi-purpose rooms, the two multi-purpose rooms. The air conditioning that we did put in to the facility was to service the main, the entry area as well as the Chuck Mercer room. There is a condensing unit on the roof there to service that, but it unfortunately has not been ducted and put into the multi-purpose room.
So that's the two rooms at the top of the stairway to heaven.
Yes.
And also, doesn't this affect the accessory room? Or?
No, that room is already tied into the HVAC system that is in place today.
How come they're complaining it's too hot yet?
There's some rewiring that needs to happen as part of the aquatic center upgrade that will allow the air conditioning to go into that room.
So will this all be done together?
No, that's part of a warranty issue or deficiency on the aquatic center project itself. So that has already been ducted and put in. It's just a matter of controls and managing controls within the aquatic center.
Okay, I know it's a separate issue, but why is that then?
We're in the process of having that completed.
Thank you. Any more further questions from council? Not? Looking for a motion for recommendation.
I move that council have an additional capital project for 2011 called Aquatic Center Multi-Purpose Room Air Conditioning in the amount of $17,500, with funds to be drawn from the Financial Stabilization Reserve.
Can these motions be done together?
I think it's two motions in order.
Okay. Y'all heard the first motion? All in favor? Carried.
Your Worship, I would move that council award the contract for the Aquatic Center multi-purpose room air conditioning project to Carmichael Engineering in the amount not to exceed $12,764.79 plus GST, and that the mayor and CAO are authorized to sign a contract on behalf of the town.
When do you expect this to start?
I would expect this to start, we'll contact the contractor immediately following award, but they've indicated that there's some lead time on some of the equipment, but I would expect it will be in September.
Thank you. You all heard the motion? No further questions? All have heard the motion? All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Jesse. You're not done yet.
Got one more.
8G, Bayside Place sidewalk.
As part of our affordable housing project, the two projects that are on Bayside Place, the council had asked for a consideration for a sidewalk to be installed basically from Thomas Drive to what would be the CCL site, or where the joint servicing site is for those for both of the affordable housing sites. We've been working initially, I guess, or preliminarily with both groups, the Hestia Construction Group as well as the CCL Group, to gain some initial numbers in terms of what that sidewalk will cost. We had a preliminary number of approximately $90,000 for the sidewalk to go from that site to Thomas Drive on the north side of Bayside Place. So crossing the businesses along Bayside Place, maintaining the current accesses as they basically sit today, but building in a sidewalk for the residents of the new affordable housing area there to access Thomas Drive safely and not in the roadway. So the town's share of that 90,000 shared three ways would be 30,000, and this would be to create a capital project for 2011 to fund that project, which is yet to be awarded or quoted as part of the construction of those facilities.
Well, why wasn't that in the original developers agreement?
I'm not sure. I can't comment.
Your Worship, this was a council request after the.
Pardon me, I can't hear you.
It was a council request that the sidewalk be built.
Yeah, but when the original project had got going, why wasn't that thought of then? And it should have been the developer's responsibility individually.
Yes, but we are part developer, so there is Hestia Construction is one part, CCL, and then the town, which is why it's divided into three portions.
I understand that, but we've never put any cash into this whole thing to start with, have we?
No, but this is part of our project, the affordable housing project. So
Get the land for free.
So we should be putting in a third.
And there's going to be through the chair too, and then there's going to be some more grant funding coming in next year for it, or.
We still have some grant funding available.
So
but it's that's for the project itself, the housing project itself.
I'm not opposed, but I'm just don't understand why this wasn't thought of right at the beginning. Usually in developers agreement, these things, people got to walk someplace out of a subdivision.
I don't, Your Worship. There was only so much grant money available for the project, and I believe we spent all our money on that project, the grant money that we had. Seeing as the town is part of this development, we have to pay for part of the sidewalk.
And also, Your Worship, it is in the developer's agreement for Hestia that they are responsible for 1/3 of the cost. And then CCL is responsible for 1/3 of the cost. And the town is responsible for 1/3 of the cost.
Thank you. I'm not, okay, I understand now. Any further comments? Yes?
Your Worship, through the chair, Jesse there, is that, you're saying that you want to build a sidewalk over to Thomas Drive? So this is in that front area where Huckstead's office is and Fortis in there, in that area?
It would start a little to the northeast of there. Basically right at the entrance to there's a shared access that goes into that site. So it would commence at that site. We wouldn't continue it around to the Huckstead.
It
would be on the north side. Yeah. So it would start on the east side of the cul-de-sac and go through the north side to Thomas Drive.
Is that the only way in and out of that? It's through
Yes.
there? With vehicles too?
Yes, yeah. There is an emergency access at the back of the affordable housing complex. It's a shared emergency access, but it would be barricaded and chained off basically when it's not used. So the the only access in for vehicles would be into that shared access.
That's where they've taken that little driveway out on the east side that goes out to, okay.
That's right, yeah.
Well, I think we better empty up our 1/3 because it's pretty obvious, we need a sidewalk in there.
Yep.
Yeah, anyone like to make a motion? Please.
I'll move the council add an additional capital project for 2011 called Bayside Place Sidewalk in the amount of $30,000 with funds to be drawn from the Financial Stabilization Reserve.
Y'all heard the motion. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor? Carried. Thank you, Jesse. ICSC 2011 Canadian Convention and the ICSC Canadian Real Estate Forum, page 71.
Worship, under policy 1806, council must approve by resolution any unbudgeted expense for conferences, seminars, and training that are not budgeted for in the annual budget process. And we have received 2 information packages, and I've attached the details on 2 forms that would be of benefit to the town of Strathmore from an economic development perspective. And we are requesting that the mayor be authorized to attend both of these conferences for the Canadian Convention from October 19th to 21st, 2011, for a cost not exceeding $735, and for the ICSC Canadian Retail Forum on September 21st, 2011, for a cost not exceeding $247.47 plus GST, if applicable, and for travel and accommodation expenses.
You all heard the recommendation. Questions? Yes, Councilor Best.
Your Worship, as I've mentioned in the past, I certainly am in favor of yourself and our CA going out and doing as much trying to bring in the businesses to our community as much as possible. I'm not so much in favor of the first one here, the October 19th to the 21st session. However, I am fully in favor of the September 21st session.
The first one I went to last year, and I know that they're all expensive to go to. They're all groundbreaking. It takes a lot of work to get something done. It's just not something that can happen overnight. Believe me, I don't enjoy traveling that much anymore, but I will go, and I do enjoy meeting people and getting something done. Yes,
Your Worship, I would like to also point out that having you and the CAO go to these sessions is a lot cheaper than it would have been to have an economic development officer in place. So basically, you're acting in that category, in that vein. So to me, if your 2 trips here in September, October can do anything to bring commerce and business to Strathmore, I'm in favor of it. It's a lot more reasonable than creating that other position that was talked about in the campaign.
Any further comments? Looking for a motion.
Your Worship, I would move that Council authorize the Mayor to attend the ICSC 2011 Canadian Convention from October 19th to 21st, 2011, for a cost not exceeding $735, and the ICSC Canadian Retail Forum on September 21st, 2011, for a cost not exceeding $247.47, plus GST if applicable, and travel and accommodation expenses.
You all heard the motion. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Carried. Looks like I'm not bringing my own credit card. Policy 1802 and 1806 number I.
Your Worship, there is a bit of a problem here. On page 73, it talks about policy 1801 and 1806, not 1802 and 1806. I was just wondering where the correct is.
Oh, my apologies. It is 1801. Correct. Policy numbers 1801 and 1806 set out the maximum amount that council and administration can claim for meals when traveling on town business. Currently, the dollar amounts for all of the meals in total are $65 per day. We are recommending that we replace that amount for a total of $75 per day, which is approximately an additional $3.50 per meal, and having just the one total for meals per day rather than splitting it out for 3 separate. Just makes the administration much simpler. And
any questions? If not, I'm looking for a motion.
I recommend that council approve policy number 1801 as amended. Or move rather.
All in favor? Carried.
And your worship, I would move that council approve policy 1806 as amended.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor? Carried. Just my knowledge, new staff positions.
Administration is requesting 2 additional positions to be filled this year. The human resource manager or coordinator is a new position, and the recreation communication officer would replace the director of community services position that is currently vacant. The roles and responsibilities of both of the requested positions are currently being covered by the deputy CAO, with a staff complement of 123 to 141, depending on the season. The human resource position could easily be filled with a full-time staff member. The role of Director of Community Services has now been vacant for 6 months. Administration is recommending changes to the roles and responsibilities of this position. The position would no longer be a director-level position and would see a number of current responsibilities being reallocated, as well as the addition of a number of new responsibilities, such as communications and the promotion of recreational and cultural programs, and service opportunities to support departmental marketing and event initiatives in response to community and departmental needs. And we're asking at this point just to allow administration to begin the recruitment process for both positions. We would ask that we could bring the pay scale back to council for approval pending completion of a salary survey, and that would be prior to a selection process. So far, the ballpark numbers that we have for the HR position would be starting at approximately $62,000 per year, and for the communication / recreation coordinator, that would start out at approximately $55,000 per year, and those are of course plus benefit. And we would be asking to draw these funds from financial stabilization, but we will have more hard, fast figures once we have done some additional research.
Questions from council?
Just one, Your Worship, through the chair to Linda. So in essence, this recreation / communication officer would be trying to generate and increase interest in events coming to town to try to coordinate, bring them here and have that happen then?
Absolutely, and we're looking at things such as fall tournaments, any type of special recreation events that could take place in Strathmore, as well as a communications officer or advisor.
Okay, thanks.
And I think it's also important. One of the duties would probably include knowledge and actively seeking out grants, recreational grants. There's all kinds of funding out there. Some of which we've regrettably lost in the last year, just for one reason or another. But there's, I can think of that position paying for itself in a year with some of the grants that we've lost in the last year. So I think these are really important positions and something that's going to really improve the administration of the town.
That would be one of their qualifications is the grant, getting grant money.
Helping with the research for the grants, yes. We do have currently a staff member who does the grant research, but that position would help with the recreational part of that, and they would work together on it.
Councillor Best?
Your Worship, I support both of these. As far as I can see, especially the recreation communications officer could be bringing in some of the major sporting events, or even the plus 55 events, which our town is now getting big enough to hold and sponsor. Those events not only do they promote your town to the rest of the province, but they also bring great revenue into businesses in town.
Any further comments?
Your Worship.
Yes.
I think I agree with Councillor Best here, and with all due respect and full compliments to Linda here, she's looking after both of these spots, as it says here, with staff complement of 120 to 140 people. I think, from what I can see, the workload on Linda is enough as a deputy CAO, so I think this would help her out quite a bit.
No further comments. I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion that council authorize administration to begin the recruitment process for a human resources manager and a recreation/communications coordinator, and that the pay scale be brought back to council for approval pending completion of a salary survey prior to the selection process being initiated.
You all heard the motion. If there's no further comments, all in favor? Carried. 8K.
Your Worship, we're just wondering about council meeting schedule for August. Currently, we have meetings on the first Wednesday, which would be the 3rd. We have an admin meeting on the 2nd, which would be the 10th, and another regular council meeting on the 17th. And we're just wondering if council wants to have those 3 meetings, or if you would prefer to have just 1 meeting or 2 meetings, just so we can set these out.
I think we can handle things with 1 meeting of the month. I could be wrong on that, but that's my gut feeling. Comments?
Your Worship, as far as my own personal situation goes, I'm a teacher who has the summer off, so for me it would be kind of ludicrous for me to support this. I think people would say, well, you have enough time off as it is as a teacher, now you want to take the month of August off as a counselor, so I can't vote for this myself, but I have a unique situation because I have the whole 2 months off.
I don't think the other job should enter into this.
Your Worship, I look at the city of Calgary, the county, Chestermere. They take the month of August off. I think for us to go back to 1 meeting, I believe that with there now being no per diems, that if we have to have a special council meeting, that can be done at no cost to the town. And in that case, I could support this.
Councillor Sobel.
I don't have a problem foregoing the administration meeting if it's a late schedule. I don't agree with not holding either of the public meetings. It's been my experience that each public meeting in July and August are equally as busy as those in November and December. I don't see any reason why we should be taking those 2 off. I would not support that. I don't mind the administration meeting going out if we can, but I'd like to keep the public meetings going.
Councillor Rocky.
Your Worship, could you please ask Councilor Fuel to quit reminding us he has a summer off. Seriously, my question was, does this put extra load on administration for September if we don't meet in August, or does it make any difference, or?
Redistribution of the workload, yes, it's, for us, it's, and you know, if there is something, I suppose, urgent that comes up, we could ask for a special council meeting.
Any further comments? I would be in favor of we can have one meeting. I think we could handle it either the second or the middle of the month.
Your Worship, I'd like to make a motion that council restrict the meetings for the month of August to the August 3rd meeting, and forego the administration meeting and the, what's the other?
The 17th.
The August 17th meeting.
You all heard the motion. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor? Opposed? 2 opposed. Okay, motion carries. Yes, we have to go back to 5B. Thank you, Councillor Hampton. Page 20.
There is a motion on the floor with that, Your Worship.
And who made that, Councillor Best? I guess you did?
Yes.
And the motion, could you repeat?
The motion was that, being is that the delegation in question did not seem to see fit to show up tonight, or to notify us as to the absence, that the penalty as the $200 be put forward and kept the way it is.
You all heard the motion. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor? Carried. That's it, I guess. No further comments. Councillor Rempel.
On number 12.
Yes.
I'd just like to compliment Councilor Sobel and the team that built the Centennial Park downtown. I think it's very well done. Thanks, Mr. L. Are you awake?
Oh, yes.
And it looks very nice, and I hope that people will be able to enjoy that for many years to come.
Councillor Best.
Your Worship, I would also like to have our Deputy CAO introduce our new administrative assistant so it can be brought forward and made public at this meeting.
Before we do this, in regards to Councillor Rempel, I think that's a very good motion or comment you made there. I would also like that if Council should send a letter to that committee on behalf and thanking them for the great job they've done, and that be publicized.
Yes.
I do think that, and I know there was a lot of discussion that's wrong, and it cost $1 million, and I've heard everything around the sun on how ridiculous this park is. But I think it's a great job. I think that's a lot to the community, and I think that letter should go to the committee and congratulate them. And I'll sign it if that's, you need that as a motion or
By direction.
direction. Okay, thank you. Thank you. And Councillor Best, yes, we can introduce our new.
Yes, Your Worship, I would like to introduce Jennifer Sawatsky, sitting with us in the audience here. Jennifer started today with the town as our new municipal clerk. So welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. And welcome to Strathmore. Any other comments?
I would move to adjourn.
You heard the motion, any further discussion? If not, all in favor?